just wanted to give a quick little bit of information about writing a test bench so you can check your work, see kind of what kind of results you get. So if you recall, with a test bench, this is going to be, you're going to create a new simulation source. So I went to simulation source and created a new simulation source. I did have to right click on it and tell it to set as top. So I did have to do that. And then I called it Testbench 2. I set as reg all of the switches and the button clock. Those should all be reg. The outputs should all be wires. And oh, well, apparently the 7-segment display and the A could also be reg. I would have thought they'd need to be wires, but I left them reg and that seemed to work. Integers for a loop, if you're going to have a loop or nested loops. I ended up just having one loop, so I just have I, but it's, you can test all kinds of things. Okay, and then to test it, this name right here should be the same as the name of your main module, and then UUT, and then you list all your variables, and putting them in like this with the dot and the parentheses means you don't have to worry about what order they're in. And so those are just all the variables, whatever variables you have. And then initial, and then begin, and then display, and just tell it to display that it's starting. And then give it some initial values for your switches. So the button clock I set to 0. Load I set to 1 because the load function is going to be very useful here to load a state so you can see what it comes up with for the next state. The hashtag 100 means to wait 100 nanoseconds, 100 somethings. And then the first time through, you do use this in different ways. First time through, I just looped through my 12 states. And then this is just an example of one thing that I did. So I set load equal to 1, and then I let S, the thing I load, that just loaded through my different states. And then these two lines advance the clock. And so it advances the clock. And then I set load equal to 0 so that it would run without loading a state, because if all it does is load a state, then that doesn't tell me anything because I'm just going to get whatever state it is. So then I'd set load to 0. And then I made a change to one of my inputs. So I said I'm going to put some traffic in lane C. And then I advanced the clock again. And then I displayed P. So that would tell me what my present state was. And so if I look down here at what my output was, it told me my present state was state 1. And then I advanced the clock again, and then I set some traffic in lane D. And then after I did that, I advanced the clock and displayed it, and it told me what the next state was, and it was 100. And so you can just play with this. And so I did this, like, for all the different states. I saw what happened if I set the C lane with traffic and then also set the D lane to traffic, and then you could set them to 0 and then advance the clock and see what you get. And you can use various different loops and to get a bunch, to see the values of different states. And so you can just set that. And then I ended the for loop and then had a display to say I was done with the test bench, and then finish.